Hi everyone, it's Yvette Le Blowitz from SPAITGIRL.com and welcome to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you today and with our very special guest, Lucy Tweed. She is the creator of Every Night of the Week, an Instagram account full of recipes for people who don't like recipes. She began her career as a food developer and stylist, working for 9 years at Donna Hay magazine, learning all about the beauty of simple, fresh food. We are officially here today to celebrate the launch of her book, Every Night of the Week, Lucy Tweed, and it's published by Murdoch Books, who we love. Welcome, Lucy, and welcome to our global audience. How are you today?
Hello, I am so good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is so exciting.
This is so exciting because before we hit record, I was just saying how positive and feel good your book is. The cover is pretty pink for everyone. Go and have a look on the Spirit Girl YouTube channel. Congratulations. How does it feel to have your very first cookbook out right now? During a global pandemic, Sydney's in lockdown. How does it feel to have done all that work and worked with the team of Murdoch Books and now to bring this out to our community and the rest of the world?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing to have something I can hold in my hand that's not just an Instagram feed. I'm so happy about it because it feels like this is all thanks to the community that has joined me on Instagram, that has asked for this book. So it feels amazing. And, you know, as far as bringing it out during this crazy time we're all enduring, well, I started it exactly a year ago, really. It was on the 8th of August last year. I had the call from Jane Morrow at Murdoch, and she was like, let's talk about your fourth baby. And I was like, I panicked for a minute because I've got 3 children. I'm like, that's my limit. I panicked. I thought, what's she talking about? We began the conversation, and in 12 months, we turned around what I had only kind of hoped would touch the sides of satisfaction for some people. But the response has just been, for me, I have flutters and heart-filled love moments constantly. Every day I'm getting these messages from people. I think it's touched a bone with people. I think that people are actually enjoying it because there is so much fun in here. There's so much happiness and fun in this book. I'm feel absolutely overwhelmed and happy.
Well, I'm so overwhelmed and happy for you and all of your cookbook followers, readers, and for the Murdoch Books team and everyone, because it is so feel good. It is so fun. And I've had so many people say to me, and particularly we'll give Sarah a shout out, where it's been her savior during the Sydney lockdown. And I saw today on your Instagram account, everyone getting their copy and putting little songs and gifts and it just the outpouring of love. I've got goosebumps. It's just so beautiful.
I agree. I have 2 incredible quotes on my book from 2 amazing people who I'm so fortunate to call friends, and I feel so lucky about it. There's Donna has written a little quote on the front, and I've got my friend Will Anderson, he's written one on the back, and that's gorgeous. However, I have been receiving some of my most favorite bits of feedback ever through DMs or just even tags. A guy the other day who he posted a picture of the book, this bright pink book, on his very masculine Instagram page. And he wrote this really lovely thing about how his wife collects a lot of cookbooks, and he's just, here we go, another one. And then he started to have a quick flick through, and then he actually sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and read. He goes, the best thing about it is I could probably cook about 8 things straight away from what's in my cupboard. What's important to me with this book, I love food. I love the coming together of eating with people. I love the sharing of food. I love the sharing of experiences and memories that are associated with food. This isn't a chef's book necessarily. It's not a book that you're going to learn some insanely crazy creative new technique from some of the world's best chefs out there. I haven't reinvented any wheel. It is basically a collection of favorite memories, and a huge amount of permission slips on how to kind of get those memories fast tracked into your mouth.
And Lucy, how did you get into the world of food?
I think it's always been there. My grandmother was a food writer. She was an editor at the original Australian Gourmet magazine years and years ago. I grew up with my mum on a farm in the Hunter Valley, and she always grew. The kitchen garden was always bustling with corn or pea. That was her favourite thing. You'd come wandering into the garden to ask her a question, or in that typical voice of a kid, "Mum!" And she'd turn around and say, "Just wait, pop this in your mouth first." She'd pop a snow pea into your mouth. "Eat that first," she'd say. And so we always had that kind of connection to food being grown. We had chickens, we harvested their eggs, we ate the chickens. We'd often race home from school and say, "Bag's not my chicken," if we're doing a Sunday roast. Whoever got home first. It was that cycle of life thing. So I was really involved in that for years, like had that as an upbringing, which I feel so grateful for. And then my extended family have always been quite foodie. My uncle owned a Sydney institution for chefs, which is called Chef's Warehouse. It was a kitchenware store. So that was one of my first jobs when I left school. It's just been there always. It's been this comfort, not just when consuming food, it's knowing about food has been comforting for me. It all began there. I did actually start a chef's apprenticeship, but it wasn't made for me, that commercial cookery. And it was during my time working at Chef's Warehouse that I met Donna Hay. And back then, food media was a rather small industry bubble. Donna was making a huge splash in it. It wasn't like it is now. There weren't TV shows. There wasn't this competition. Chefs weren't famous superstars. It just wasn't the same thing. I just felt it was really fortunate that I was able to find a kind of way that I could still work with food, but not necessarily be in a commercial kitchen, still kind of have that creative connection. So it was just one of those fate moments, and meeting Donna, getting on well with her and showing up to work every day and working really hard and having a 9-year career at the back of me, basically.
That's such an incredible story. So you go to work for your uncle at the store. You then get the opportunity to meet Donna Hay and build a relationship. You get the opportunity to go and work for Donna. Did you have to apply for the job, or did you just show up and say, "I want to help you and I'm just coming"? She was
there, and she would often come to the store to buy beautiful things, buy whatever it might be, a new set of French wooden spoons, and I'd always be there helping them. It's less about your CV, and it's always been more about your connection. Having that connection to someone and being able to understand what they want and having a good relationship with them is more important than what you've studied. Throughout my career, I have often received CVs from people wanting to work with me, or applications, I've studied this. And I always find them confusing to read. I'm not very good at dissecting a CV myself, and it's more important for me to meet you and get a grip on how I relate to a person if I'm going to work with you. And I suppose because I do work in a rather creative and loosely freelance world, I'm fortunate enough to do that. I don't actually need to cross-check, have you done this diploma? What have you learnt? Where have you studied? It's more about how you relate already and then what you are able to learn on the job. So
I love that. And some people are naturally hands-on, and Donna could see that skill in you where you could help her create what she needed.
Even though it seems like a very glamorous world, styling across all boards, it's very much a leave your ego at the door environment. You have to be willing to jump on board with someone else's kind of concept and bring it to fruition. I think working with Donna, I mean, look, it was such a magical 9 years. I have the most incredible memories, some fantastic friendships still so strong within that. I liken the whole experience to, aside from all of the incredible, huge weight of being able to be with a food title for 9 years, that's very rare these days. It was almost like learning to draw with a master. So learning to do the perfect circle, and then you can and master that, and then you can kind of let loose on the world and go as abstract as you want with your own artworks.
That's really incredible. And you see quite often people, whether that be in sports or any profession or career, where they'll train under someone who is at such a higher level and learn from them along the way. And then like a little butterfly, they go off and create their own magnificent world.
Yeah.
See, how did you come up with the idea of every night of the week, the book? What was your idea when you were doing the book title? You've actually split this book up into nights, like every night of the week. Can you share more about that with us?
This book is the in-print version of my Instagram account. So about 3 years ago, when my Winter was just born, I was working full-time. I mean, I was back on set styling when she was 6 weeks old. She's strapped to my chest, and she'd sleep on a sheepskin rug or in a cardboard box in a sheepskin rug. You know, she'd nap here and there. I'd pass it to the photographer while I plated a dish. You know, it was a beautiful team to work with. We always work in such small teams. There's a photographer, someone working in the kitchen, me as the stylist, probably 2 or 3 more people maximum. So it's a lovely little team, and it becomes a little family while you're doing a book. So everyone in the industry's kind of had all of my children with me. It takes a tribe, takes a village. It was during that time I still worked 9 to 5, as many hours a week as I could, being freelance. And then every now and then I just want to remember this quick hack dinner move that I'd done, especially one that was appreciated by all 5 of us. So that's always a win. That's always like, oh yeah, quick, save that, park that. I need to remember it for later, quick. I started this Instagram account every night of the week because I was every now and then wanting to post these delicious dinners, and I just felt like it wasn't appropriate to be putting on my professional Instagram account for some reason. I know it could have worked well, but whenever I did, the traction behind it kind of like, it was like it had blossomed like this, or not necessarily that I was viewing it as traction. I just found that I'd wake up the next day and there were people saying, hang on, what did you put with the tomatoes and the chicken? Or how long did you put it in the oven for? When did you take it out of the fridge? So did you do that in the morning? People were asking questions. I thought, actually, I want to remember what I did. I started every night of the week, and I am going to do a quick shout out right now to a photographer who I was working with at the time that I started this. And I said, yeah, but what am I going to call this account where I'm popping these? So it's like my bookmark page. It's like a Pinterest page, really, of just recipes I'm loving or that I've done, or little hacks in the kitchen. What am I going to call it? And she said, why don't you use the name? There's a competition, a photography competition called Shoot the Chef. And there's some incredible photographs of people, professional chefs in kitchens all over the world. It's worth Googling and having a look at. Shoot the Chef. Yeah, just some incredibly candid and beautiful moments of these kitchen warriors. She said, I applied for, kind of submitted my version of Shoot the Chef, but instead of professional chefs, she shot people at home in the kitchens. Everyday people.
Wow.
It's such a beautiful journalistic manner. So it might be someone's back at the stove and the kid tugging on a pant leg of the dad. He looked tired. Might be a mum who was kind of dishing out baked beans, whatever it was. But she shot a series of these real life, everyday, don't consider themselves professional chefs. And she called the series Every Night of the Week. And she said, you need that. You need to have that name.
Wow. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, her name Kath Muscat, the photographer who I love dearly. She kind of said, take this name, you need this name. And she has been the most gorgeous support of mine throughout the whole thing. But I've had so many photographers actually support me throughout this whole thing. Yeah, so she helped me with the name, and then I had the name. It blossom and bloom, it did. The whole book and the Instagram page, it wasn't a concept. It wasn't a kind of here's a good business plan. It was just a passion, and it was an idea. And naturally, because it was so natural, there wasn't a kind of script anywhere, a community formed. It feels a lot more like a community than me and a bunch of followers.
Yes, exactly.
It's much more our space.
It is a community where you're all like-minded.
Yeah,
you'll want to cook, you'll want to have memories, share fun times. And isn't that a beautiful photographer to give you that, like,
she's just so
name.
beautiful. Yeah. And
I love how you acknowledged her, because some people get good ideas, but it doesn't mean they're going to pass on any acknowledgement.
No, I could go on for hours. I shot this book. I am not a photographer, but I did shoot this book, aside from a few things in there like my portrait and the chapter openers. And the only way I was able to shoot it is because I have such a wonderful and long relationship with so many photographers, being a food stylist, and they all wanted to see this succeed. I'm obviously no real threat to their careers because they all helped me. They helped me set it all up so that I could click away and shoot this
Love
whenever I
it,
want
yes.
to. These particular ones, these chapter openers are by a gorgeous friend of mine, Will Mepham. So he's one of those photographers. You know, he lent me a 50mm lens. Another photographer lent me his Mark II. That was Chris Court. Simon Davidson lent me some cords to connect to my computer. Yeah,
so
Hannah
kind
Blackmore. She was on the phone when I was like, oh, what's my workflow like? She said, I'll talk you through it. So they're all just people came together. They wanted to see this succeed.
That's so great.
Just like everyone on Instagram saying, when are you writing a book?
Yeah.
Everyone that wanted it helped it. It's a massive team effort. It feels like the community produced it with me.
I love that, the coming together of everyone in community and spirit and helping and wanting to lift you up and rise you up. And I really, that's incredible. And we need that so much in our world, and especially during these times where we can help each other succeed and live their passion and their dreams. Out of your book, you have so many incredible recipes. Now, if I was to ask you what's one of your go-tos, what would you suggest?
Obviously, depends on what day of the week it was. Two of my favorite things are the dumplings, because my kids get involved in that, and it does become a situation of you can eat as much as you can make. Everyone gets in on that from the beginning, and it's a lovely, messy affair. Also, for me, the fridge give a sound chow bao, because end of the week, who knows what's left in there. The beauty of this dish, it's such a wonderful combination of flavors and put together. My dad used to make us a sound chow bao when we were little that had no real Asian flavors or influence. It was like a beef mince thing with peas and carrots in lettuce cups, but he called it sound chow bao because it had the lettuce cup orientation for it, and it just made sense. I think my favorite thing about sound chow bao is that you can eat it with your hands, and that is a surefire way to get anyone to eat in our house. That tactile experience of being able to put something in your hand and then put it in your mouth is such a grounding one. So yeah, hands down, I've got to say, let's say sound chow bao. Fridge give a sound chow bao.
And if we felt like we can't be bothered cooking, because there are nights, obviously, when we just can't be bothered.
I would say, the drunken dumplings are great. That's pretty much all items that are jarred together. Oh, what would I suggest if I can't be bothered cooking? Have you got one that you know of?
Well, I actually really love pizza.
Oh, the pizza night. Well, you know the beauty of that.
I just saw a photo of you with a glass of wine and the pizza, and I thought, you know
and
what?
Everyone going in. Again,
this is kind of fun.
It's a hands-on situation. Again, I'm going to flick to it right now. Again, it's about getting people to make what they want to eat. Involving people in the food they're going to eat is really important, because they just get an understanding of it. I mean, it was the same way that I was raised on the farm. Just that sense of circle of life, getting an understanding of at least the circle of consumption, I think is important in everyone's life. Just understanding that, here's something that we need to eat, or I'm going to put this on my pizza because I love it. Being involved in the beginning to the end of eating is important.
And when you spend time eating with your kids, are you kind of fully engaged with the food and you're chatting, connecting as a family?
One of my favorite things to do is to put stuff on platters and take it to the dining table. And it might seem like a little extra work because you're going to have to wash that up, but there's a sense of real connection. It's like if you've had a really crappy day, but suddenly you're having to give someone a platter, like you've had a crappy day, or kids had a crappy day, and then you're saying to your child, darling, can you please pass me the chicken or the salad or something? And they're having to stop what they're doing and think out of their moment, pick up the chicken and hand it over. It's a sense of community and giving and acknowledging that they've got that. Maybe I need that. Can I please have this? It's a forced interaction, but not one that feels forced. There's a loveliness to, can you please pass the salt? I don't think we think about much, but is actually such a nice practice for families.
Because I think in lockdown, younger kids or anyone, if they're feeling a bit down and you just got your one meal on your plate, like you're just in your own little world.
Yeah.
But whereas, like you said, when you're passing those platters around, it takes you out of that thinking mind and you connect.
You can release a bit of the day. Sometimes you don't actually want to put your thoughts and your worries or your woes or anything. You don't want to actually release any of it, but it's nice to actually have a little bit of a connection with the family.
What are some of the things you're eating at the moment, Lucy? Do you have any go-to fruits, vegetables? I saw some baby broccolini on your Instagram page, which I'm loving at the moment, baby broccolini.
I'm loving it too. Yeah, it's so gorgeous. I do have a little routine that I try. It's a green smoothie is my absolute favourite thing every morning, and it's so basic. And anytime I try and muck around with it, I then I fall off the wagon and don't do it. But it's so simple, and it's like baby spinach, cucumber, ginger, lemon juice, a few grapes, and some coconut water. Or if I don't have the coconut water, I might just use orange juice and get rid of the grapes, and a lot of mint. And it's fresh, and I love it so much. I know I'm in a good headspace when I do that, when I take the time to have that green smoothie. If I want to do something a little bit indulgent later in the day and eat something just that I've absolutely been craving, I've kind of got this borrowed energy from a green smoothie, borrowed nutrients.
You can have your green smoothie in the morning and your glass of wine at night.
I am a huge rosé fan. I just feel like I'm so predictable. I was 100% a Sauvignon Blanc girl, and then I did the Pinot Grigio wave, and now I'm into rosé. There's a great Grenache I'm drinking, and it's really inexpensive from Dan Murphy's, and it's a French Grenache, and it's a lovely rosé, and it's called Lulu. That's great. But also my friend who I grew up with in the Hunter, Usher Tinkler, he makes this beautiful nose to tail rosé, which is alarmingly I never get a headache from. So I feel like rosé, it kind of is the epitome of Sydney, really, or Australia. We have this dance with the seasons. It's a great all-year drinker for me.
When I visited my mum's family in France, they have rosé literally for lunch and for dinner, and it's just a glass.
Doesn't it just fall out of the? Doesn't it just pour out of the wall?
And they just sit around with the food and the rosé, and it's just a beautiful thing to do. See, you've got 3 children, your books come out, you've got your freelancing, you've got your own business, you've got so much going on, and there's so much going on in Sydney with everyone in lockdown. How are you taking care of yourself, or what are some things you're doing to create some self-care for your own self?
That's such a good question, because it's so easy to fall into the rut of the kind of chores that need to be done around the house. We're so used to being able to just say, oh, I'm just going to go and do something nice for myself. I'm going to go and I'll meet up with some friends and get a coffee, or I'm going to do this. And you've got to recalibrate all of that. You can't be that spontaneous, but you still have to kind of designate that time. So I am really trying to make sure I'm doing big walks. I just think walks are fantastic. I am a complete voyeur, so I try and do my walks early in the evening when people are starting to bunker down, and maybe saute an onion or two. It really gets me going. I love it. I love the smells of the neighbourhood when people are home and nesting. But of course, I am in Sydney. I've got the luxury of the coast, but everyone seems to be enjoying that at the moment. So I'm trying not to go there so much.
Just trying to avoid that spot.
It's like a freeway at the moment, the coastal walk. I love walking around my neighbourhood. I love trying to find a street that I haven't wandered down before. I think there are so many stories. Finding your mini adventure in your own neighbourhood is really important. And it's the same with the kids. I mean, I do this thing where I think, I'm going to go for a lovely walk, and who wants to come? And then I've got the dog, and I've got the 3 kids, and then this one wants to take a scooter, this one wants to ride their bike, the tyre needs pumping, and then I feel like we need milk, so we may as well walk past the petrol station. And then I'm like, this is awful. This is so awful. I don't want to go anymore. And then someone's tired, and I have to carry a scooter home and the milk. And at the time I get home, I'm like, fuck this. I'm going for another walk by myself.
I know. This is hilarious. I love your honesty, because I'm sure all the mums will be like, clapping their hands and high-fiving and high-tenning.
You know what it's like, yeah.
It sounds like you've got to do 2 walks.
Mate, the other day I had a bath. It was a Saturday. What was it? Oh, no, I think we're homeschooling. And everyone was getting kind of stressed. It was like later in the week. It must have been Thursday. And I was like, that's it. I'm having a bath. Sorry, it's 11:30. You can go outside on the trampoline for a minute, or you can just go and have a relax. Go and lie in the sun. You've got 10 minutes lying out there in the dappled sun. Go outside. I'm having a bath. I think a little permission slip to kind of just check in and recalibrate in whatever way you can is really important in this time. And actually finding a little bit of humour in anything is crucial.
And I listened to someone the other day and they said, just remember this, you're not a teacher. Your job's not to teach. And I just was in stitches. I went, oh, that's a good point.
I shout out to teachers. As parents who don't really understand teaching, we're probably putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to complete every sentence and get everything right. And it kind of dawned on me the other day. I was like, I reckon it's not necessarily that they ever teach a lesson once. They're so good at teaching the same lesson for 30 weeks and then hoping that the next year can move on. Right? It's pretty incredible. There's so many people whose careers I think we are all just going, oh, we didn't appreciate you before.
I remember being at high school having to do Romeo and Juliet. And you know what I was thinking? I'm never going to use this in the workplace. At the time, I was thinking I might be a bank teller. And I thought I wouldn't be saying, hello, Mrs. Juliet, would you like to withdraw your money? And
I wish someone at the bank did that to me.
So I think it's a really great reminder, kids or parents, it's going to be okay.
Oh,
if you don't get it or they don't get it, there's a chance that they might not even use it in the job that they're going to go for.
No, but look, you just brought so much joy to so many people. And here I am thinking, why hasn't my bank teller ever said, you have an overdraft? See, that would have made life so much better.
See, if we could have used our singing skills that we learnt at school, our Romeo and Juliet.
Skills, I don't have singing skills.
So Lucy, what is your hope now for your cookbook readers, your community that's going to grab a copy of Every Night of the Week, which is out at all bookstores, on all Booktopia and literally everywhere? What's your hope for them?
Well, happiness and health, obviously. What I would hope that you get from this book: joy, a bit of laughter, a permission slip to ad lib any recipe. I also would like to say, just like sound, the way you experience taste is subjective to you. It doesn't matter if someone says, this is the best dish in the universe, this is the best flavoured cocktail, this is the best. Unless it tastes that way to you, you can't agree. It's just like art. It's how you perceive it. It's how your body absorbs it and what your body needs. And so everything in here is subjective. Everything can be adjusted to suit you. It's a guide and permission slip. And hopefully there are some funny stories in there to help you realise that we're all doing the same thing and laughing about the same stuff, swearing about the same stuff, breathing in and breathing out the same stuff. We're all together. And I think that's one thing that this whole extraordinary time has taught us, is that we are all in this together. And if this doesn't inspire you to cook, you can at least have it beside the loo and read it.
I love it. I love it. And look at that front cover. Makes you feel good. It makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
And maybe that could be the new cooking curriculum, because if we could create at-home schooling with every night of the week and do one cooking class, that could be actually a practical skill that you could then take in. So parents, if you need a permission slip to just forget a curriculum that the kids are going to do, just get the Every Night of the Week book and just sit down and make your recipe during the day. Then you got the dinner ready for the night.
This is one of my favourite things to get kids to do, and it's in the Friday chapter. The whole Friday chapter is eaten with your hands, I swear. I don't think you need cutlery once.
Because I think we've got to make this more fun, don't we? If people are in lockdown, we can see
chicken breast nuggets. This is literally chicken breast sliced up. This is my friend Chris Court told me about this, and so I do often have to say he told me about this, and I have never looked back. So it's chicken, and then you brush it with mayonnaise and then dip it in some non-palm oil panko crumbs. And then you either pan fry or just bake them. And that, kids can make that. They can get all messy. They can make it all up. You freeze a big tray of it. That can be cooking school for your kids, honestly.
I
1, 2, 3.
that.
Really
I love that. And Lucy, if you had any words of wisdom for someone right now who just is in lockdown, but hopefully we've just entertained them and made them smile and laugh and have fun, and they've just for the first time maybe laughed in weeks. But if someone was really struggling out there, what would be some words of wisdom to help them through the tough times?
There might be someone worse off than you. There probably is someone worse off than you, which kind of feels annoying to hear when you're really feeling a bad vibe, when you just can't be bothered hearing that. I think tapping into any source of comfort and any bubble of happiness that you can find is really important. Sitting down and actually working out what that is and focusing on it. I laugh at so much stuff that's probably inappropriate, but it brings me so much joy. And I think that getting rid of anything that gives you anxiety or negativity, so it might be Instagram accounts that you follow, and finding ones that bring you joy. I have to tell you, an Instagram account that I follow, which makes me so happy, is Punk History. So punk_history, and it's this fantastic girl, and she writes quotes over the top of Renaissance paintings. So I think social media give you negativity, but unfortunately at the moment that's probably what most of us have to connect to the outside world. So just make sure that you curate that nicely and carefully for yourself, your mental headspace. And if you need to, just shut it off for a minute and go outside, put your face towards the sun and close your eyes for a few seconds. That's all you need, and you'll just hopefully give you a little washover.
You're so right. The content you consume, when it is for many the only connection that they have with the outside world, right? I love to follow like the positive affirmations, the illustrations where people draw the illustrations, and like I'm so obsessed at the moment with the cute little dogs and the cute cats. It just feels
look, it's just the stuff. I've got some girlfriends who every now and then they're like, that I'm off social media. Oh, what would I do if I couldn't even fathom getting off social media completely? Well, first of all, I've got a community there. I'm really lucky to have that community of Instagram alumni. But I think it's more about not disconnecting yourself, but just reconnecting with the right stream. When we first joined Instagram, we were following left, right, and centre. Beautiful cars, jets, planes, gold, glitter, fame, fortune, skinny, pretty, bodacious, all of this. I think it's time to kind of unfollow and realign.
And the people that follow every night of the week, they're like obsessed with food, styling, and community, and creating, and just that down to earth, all inclusive, which I love about your community. Very all inclusive.
I think that so many of the comment streams on any one of my images kind of can turn to DMs, and then those DMs turn to streams of conversation, and then I forget whether I've met them in real life or we've had years of chat.
Now, Lucy, how can we stay in touch with you after this podcast show?
Well, obviously on Instagram every night of the week. Instagram has been a fantastic platform for me to connect with everyone. However, it is a platform and a tool for me. There's no business help center with Instagram. It is basically you're at the whim of the algorithm. And I was chatting with a girlfriend of mine recently about business and small business. She just had a terrible situation with Instagram and being lost and not being able to get back in touch with all the people who she was connected with. And it was a hacking thing. She had no recourse. And we had this conversation about supporting small business. And I think this is hugely important. And I think it's something that everyone should know, that if you genuinely love a feed or a person, it's really important to subscribe to their website or their newsletter. You can always feed back to them and say, please don't send me all this marketing rubbish. I don't want that, but I want to be able to support you. There are lots of ways to deal with lots of mail in your inbox. I appreciate I have too much stuff in my inbox. There's an app called Roll Up. So you could roll up all your newsletters into one big email. You stay subscribed to this business that you want to support. Supporting small business by subscribing to their newsletters. Obviously, I have one. Goes out once a week. There's a recipe in there, a bit of a story. I post events in there, but it's really just a free recipe every week, a proper one, not like my ones on Instagram. So that's on enotw.com.au, and you can subscribe there in the newsletters. That's a shout out to any small business, to everyone in the world, to support small business.
Right. We do have to go back to the good old days where you go onto the website or the blog site, but we got to get back to the basics where you sign up to the newsletter or the email. It's such a nice way, though, to communicate. I still love the power of writing, and I still feel we need to connect and keep our skills in that area where we actually sit down and type and write and communicate one-on-one. It's a very personal thing where you're connecting one-on-one, and I feel that we have to keep that. So Lucy Tweed, I could talk to you forever.
Thank you.
Lucy Tweed, congratulations again, and I love your story. I love how you created this just to share, to help other people. It was a passion. It was just stuff you loved, things you really digged and things you were doing. And then by sharing that, thanks to your incredible photographer friend who came up with the idea and the name, but by doing that, it just organically grew, and you organically touched other people's interest and heart, and now it's just become a community, and the book has evolved from it. Let's not forget, this passion also started thanks to your grandmother, who was that food writer, and also thanks to your own mum and dad, where you grew up on the farm, so you were surrounded with food, the cycle of life, like farming. No wonder you're so amazing. I love farming people because I come from a farming background too.
Oh, you must meet so many great people.
Yeah, really, really down to earth. So, and you've just worked, obviously, Donna Hay. That was an incredible story where you got to work at your uncle's business and then met Donna Hay and then helped her on the job. In your role at the time, you didn't start with your uncle thinking, oh, I'm going to work for Donna Hay.
No.
So like just seeing organically how just being nice to other people, doing your passion and really putting all of your love and energy and focus into it, just how connecting with people and getting on with people, like obviously you had a connection there and she could see that you were of great value. It's just a really great reminder that opportunities come up along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
And even when you created every night of the week Instagram, like you said, you weren't going, oh, I've got to start an Instagram account. Oh, I want to get sponsored. Like, it wasn't all about that. So it's a great reminder to just true to your heart and soul, your passion, and to do things to serve and help others. Let it be the extension of who you truly are. And then you connect with like-minded people and they lift you up. So thank you, Lucy Tweed.
Thanks, Yvette.
The Spirit Girl podcast audience, thank you all for tuning in. If you do grab a copy of every night of the week, be sure to hashtag Spirit Girl Book Club, hashtag every night of the week, hashtag Murdoch Books, hashtag Lucy Tweed, hashtag cooking, hashtag Sydney Lockdown, Melbourne Lockdown, Lockdown Lighter. Oh, actually, I've got a hashtag. Let's feel good from within, and let's make feeling good go viral.
Yes, I love viral.
All right.
Viral in a good way. Great.
All right. So we'll say goodbye to Lucy Tweed.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I feel really overwhelmed. Thank you very much.
And her beautiful daughter, Winter, who picked a flower from their neighbour and brought it in to Lucy, her mum, during the podcast show, and her dog, which girl dog, but she called it Richard. So we're thinking of you. If you are in lockdown at the moment, like Lucy said, if you are going to be on social media, choose those feel good, upbeat, happy accounts like I suggested and Lucy suggested. Unfollow anything that makes you feel like, I'm going to say the word shit, or down or not your best. And just another tip that Lucy had was go for 2 walks, one with the kids and then one on your own as a mum or a dad or a person, so you can just have your own me time. And the other tip was just sometimes go outside, get some sun on your face, and even if you're homeschooling, give yourself a permission slip. Just go easy on yourself. Don't get too stressed out. Maybe run a bath and tell the kids to go outside and play. So we'll say goodbye. Be sure to subscribe to the Spirit Girl podcast show, to leave a 5-star rating and review, and to tell someone you love to. And together, let's feel good from within.